We have in the studio Charles Edem, Deputy Public Education Officer with the Federal Road Safety Corps. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, so first off, let's start with what the myth is about Ember Month. What is it to fear about Ember Month?
Thank you very much for the question. The truth of the matter is that Nigerians have sadly come to believe that a whole lot of bad things happen during the Ember months. On a lighter note, they'll say, okay, there's a period that all the witches in the world converge to maybe have their AGM, annual general meeting. And in the course of that, of course, they cast out spells here and there, especially on the roads where people travel a lot and maybe death occur or other things. But that, of course, like you said, is a myth. The reality is that we Nigerians have not done our own part in terms of planning our journeys and, of course, adhering to traffic rules and regulations, which, of course, is a key thing concerning these movements on the road. So there's nothing evil about these months. They are just like every other month in the calendar year.
Okay. So could you talk to us, about the campaign that the Federal Road Safety Corps usually put together, to sensitize travelers?
Yeah, thank you. The FRSC has a tradition when it comes to not just the Ember months, festive periods. We embark on aggressive public enlightenment and maybe deployment of personnel and logistics on the road. We tend to leave the comfort of our office and get ourselves on the road where the real things are happening to check people's attitude on the road and, of course, caution and make sure that people drive adhering to traffic rules and regulations.
Okay, so what campaign has actually been flagged for this year?
Yeah, there's the Operation Zero Tolerance to Traffic Crashes. Okay. And it's been flagged off. But then the major thing will start from 17th of December to 15th of January 2022. 17th of January, of December 2021 to 15th of January 2022. And in this period, we will see a whole lot of road safety presence on the road. We have of activities to ensure that people move from where they are to where they are going and get back safely. So you'll see our help units on red alert, 24 hours patrol activities will commence. We'll have a kind of transit camps for officers and men so that they can hit the road early enough to check the flow of traffic. The essence is for us to check that Nigerians have hitch-free journeys to wherever they are going to. And of course, critical corridors. Like what we do conventionally is we monitor the flow of traffic. When it's during the maybe Muslim festival, you see the traffic flowing towards the northern axis, and the Christmas festival, of course, you see it flowing towards the southeast and south rest of it. So we tend to employ and deploy logistics towards that axis to ensure free flow of traffic.
Okay. Now, recently there has been quite a number of road accidents, happening even within the capital city. What could be responsible, for this?
Well, that's the Nigerian factor for you. Sum it all, impatience. Like in our course of investigating the cause of road traffic crashes, we came up with the findings that 3 factors are basically responsible for road traffic crashes, and that is the human factor, the mechanical factor, and the environmental factor. Put differently, the driver, the vehicle, and the road. So how do we mean human factor? Like I said, the driver. He's the one that is impatient. He's the one that does not do the normal vehicle parade, check the vehicles to ensure that the vehicle is in shape to embark on such journeys. He's the one that operates the vehicle. He has, do I say, about 90% control of the vehicle. So he's the one to decide at what speed to go.
Right.
He's the one to decide what number of passengers to carry, and of course the weight of the load he's carrying in the vehicle. He knows the road, and every other thing revolves around the driver. So in terms of maybe apportioning blame, personally, I give about 90% of the blame to the driver. Aside the driver, of course, the vehicle is there, the mechanical factor. Yeah, it's a man-made thing. It could fail at any point in time, but then it still behoves on the driver to ensure that the needful is done before embarking on journeys with such vehicles, like checking the vehicles, maintaining the vehicles as and when due. Then we leave that, we go to the road. Yeah, the road entails the physical road itself, the bends, the junctions, and the rest, the engineering factor of the road. All those things form part of that environmental cause of a road traffic crash.
Right.
So the driver, of course, again, knows the condition of the road. He knows at, okay, so point, we have the potholes, we have bends, and this. So he's the one to caution himself when approaching such areas, cut down the speed and the rest. But where he fails and believes that everything should go the way it is, of course, the next thing will be for road traffic crash to happen, and the blame, of course, I put on the driver.
Okay, what kind of sanctions do you give to drivers or riders who go against traffic rules and regulations? Because I actually came across one this morning, and if I hadn't, been smart, it wouldn't have ended up well at all. So.
Yeah, like we are empowered to first educate. We educate them. That's where the public enlightenment aspect comes in. But where that aspect of education is not yielding result, of course, we carry out subtle enforcement. And that enforcement is where probably you're looking at. Any driver that goes against any of the traffic rules, of course, our booking sheet is there. There are offenses spelled out for dangerous driving, wrongful overtaking, use of seat belts, disobedience to traffic rules, and a whole lot of them, about 39 offenses, which we met out on any driver that errs. And apart from that, in extreme cases where probably we use the alcoholizer to test the driver for a bit drunk driving, and it's discovered that the person is positive for alcohol intake, of course we have the power to impound the vehicle and disallow the driver from continuing the journey. So impounding the vehicle and disrupting the journey is one of such sanctions which nobody normally likes, and a whole lot.
Okay.
And some drivers are sometimes subjected to emotional test to know their frame of mind, because it's not just right that you are in your right frame of mind, you're not mad at something, and you see the traffic light that says stop, and you decide to cross, not minding. Of course, there must be something wrong with that person. So we have a whole lot of things that we do to drivers just to ensure that they keep to the rule of driving.
Okay. Now, do you have, any mechanism in place, to respond swiftly, to accident scenarios within the city?
Of course, like talking about the FRSC structure, we have the headquarters here in Abuja. We have 12 zonal commands cut across the country. Then we have the state commands too, like the ones we call the sector command. We have 36 of them, and well over 200 unit commands and outposts, a whole lot of them, and ambulance points. All those things are put in place to ensure that we respond to emergencies as swift as possible. We have this golden rule of 15 minutes, which we are even working towards reducing further, so that when it happens, we are there on ground to ensure that first we take care of those that have survived it, administer first aid, and get the ambulance to take the person to the nearest help center, from there maybe to a specialized hospital or so. But the main thing is that we try to nip it in the bud, get the drivers, talk with them, educate them, and get them to do the right thing at all times.
Okay, now from the drivers, let's move to your officers. How do you handle officers who misuse their power on the road? Because yesterday, someone I know posted a story of a Bolt driver, a lady who was stopped by FRSC officials, and her papers were complete. She had a driver's license, everything was intact, but they still wouldn't let her go, and they, it resorted to, a little bit of scuffle with the lady, and they attempted to deflate her tires as well. How do you, how do you handle such officers?
Good. The FRSC is doing everything possible. One thing we should equally understand is, like when we do our recruitment, we don't have maybe a specific place, maybe in heaven or so, to go and pick people to come and do the work. We pick from the same corrupt society, kind of. And when we come in, we do, and when we bring them in, we do our best to ensure that we try to instill that virtue of uprightness in all our officers. But of course, we know we're doing our best, but then it's still not good enough, in quotes. We're still working it. I mean, like, let's say learning is a continuous process. We still try to put them in line. And that aside, we put other things in place to help us check maybe a kind of feedback mechanism. Like of recent, I think in September this year, the Corps procured some equipment for monitoring, field monitoring and control.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a center where we monitor everything that happens on the road. That, of course, will tell every reasonable officer that whatever action you're taking out there on the road is being monitored in the office, and they would, of course, keep to the basic rules while doing such. And yes, the society is, I wouldn't say bad, but then everything is not really all right. So there will still have some. Maybe in every 12 we have a black sheep or so, and such people we have put mechanism in place in the office to take care of them. All we need to do is to get the basic evidence as which we can use in maybe meeting whatever punishments our books have specified for such actions. So. And that aside, we are working in collaboration with Akim Fadei. There's what's it called now, Flagit. There's this Flagit application on the Global Play Store where everybody is encouraged to download and have on the phone. Where you notice any of such irregularities, you are at liberty to maybe escalate it to the office and we take action.
Okay. That's a really smart one.
That's really, really nice. Now, many would agree that there's a lot of traffic indiscipline, in Nigeria. What could be responsible for this? Is it lack of education, or what really is the problem?
Sorry, yesterday I was listening to, I think, the train station manager yesterday on an interview. He said something very critical. But if Nigerians would allow themselves to school themselves to the point of obeying rules and regulations, we wouldn't be having this discussion. So I think it's just that sad reality that Nigerians are not really, well, let me not make a bogus statement, but most of them are not configured to carry out specific rules and regulations, and that is a big problem. And that is where the education comes in. Like within this period, and in short, generally, we carry out enlightenment programs at the parks, at the traffic junctions, we go to schools, we go to mosques, we go to churches, a whole lot of places just to talk with the people, to influence their thinking faculty, get them back to realize that for everything we do in life, there are rules governing them. And if we adhere to these rules, I mean, they should know that these rules are well thought out. One of good critical thinking. We have done our analysis, know that, okay, if you have to cross the road, you have to look left, look right, look left again, and if it is safe to do so, you walk briskly across the road, don't run. And if every Nigerian is made to understand why this is done, of course, we think that our society will be better off for it. But sadly enough, most of them don't want to do that. A case in point is maybe you're here, and at that point there, you have the pedestrian bridge, and you see my brothers and sisters not minding the flow of the traffic, who prefer to cross the road, not using the pedestrian bridge. And you ask yourself, how did we get here? Where did we get it wrong? So that's just the issue. If we can make every Nigerian subject himself or herself to rules and regulations, of course, I think we will make a headway.
Okay, can you give us a few tips to staying safe this Ember month?
Yeah, we would advise everybody that intends to travel, everybody that has somebody that intends to travel, to please note that being on the road is a serious business. Before you embark on the journey, ensure, number one, if you're going to drive, you are licensed to do so. You have learned the basics of driving, both practical and theoretical aspects of it. Ensure that your vehicle is in a good condition to embark on that journey. Like we say, that a vehicle well maintained is a journey half concluded. It's very, very important. Get your maps ready and plan your journey to make out time for some unforeseen circumstances, some delays, so that you won't be in a rush to meet up with time. It is very, very important.
Okay.
Always bear at the back of your mind that those you leave behind will always look forward to having you come back in one piece. Plan your journeys, take out time, rest take about 15 minutes break after every 4 hours drive while embarking on the journey. Don't overload your vehicle, don't speed. Speed trails, but then it's the same speed that kills. So please, so many things you need to do. And if that journey is not that necessary, not that important, a phone call can suffice. Some people want to leave Abuja here to go and attend wedding in Sokoto and the rest of it. Whether you're there or not, since you're not the father of the bride, the wedding will still hold.
True.
Some people give you the invitation, not necessarily to have you there.
True.
Your support. Thank God for the bank transfer here and that you can do and send a goodwill message. And when eventually you have the opportunity of getting there, you can still felicitate with them. So journeys, the roads are not really safe per se, as in terms of security and the rest. So why do you want to risk your life? So we're pleading with Nigerians, please do the needful, stay within the ambit of the law when you're on the road, and everything will go fine.